This week's episode of The Grid is sponsored by MPix. Shoot today, upload tonight, we ship tomorrow. Manfrotto, imagine more. All-in-One Software, focused on photography. Peach Pit Press, publishers of technology books, ebooks, and videos for creative people. Epson, exceed your vision. Expo Imaging, Rogue Flash Benders for speedlight enthusiasts. Nix Software, photography first. And B&H Photo, the professional source.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another live episode of The Grid. My name is Scott Kelby, and I am joined by two beautiful men, neither of which is Matt Kluskowski.
No.
Matt's stand-in and faithful comrade, the Russian artist, R.C. Concepcion.
What's going on, everybody? How you guys doing today?
How you doing, bro?
Good, man. How are you?
Oh, you know.
I sound a lot better than last week.
You do. You were sick. Oh, dude, he was sick as a dog, but he's
Last
back.
week was
Hey, but
horrible.
we are very honored to have with us literally one of the best wedding photographers in the world. Now, that's just not me saying it, though I am saying it. American Photo named you one of the 10 best wedding photographers in the world.
Oh, and along with, it depends which year. They've done it many, many years. But
I know.
So
You know
maybe
why?
I guess I'm about 60 or
He's
70.
really, really good. Cliff Mautner. How you doing, buddy?
Thanks for having me.
So
Great to be
Cliff
here.
trains for us on Kelby Training. He was out here doing some stuff for us for Kelby Training, and we weaseled him onto The Grid. And it's a perfect show because on this show we're doing 10 tips for making a killer portfolio, for making a really successful portfolio. We're going to be talking about a wide range of things. Real quickly, Matt is on the road this week. He's not only doing a seminar tour, but he's out doing some project out west. It's super secret, so he can't be here. But we got some cool guys sitting in for him. Also, we're going to be doing some giveaways. Even though Matt's on the road, you're on the road.
Yes.
So we're going to be giving away tickets to their upcoming seminars. Just pick the city you want to go to and let us know. We'll tell you at the end of the show how to enter the contest. But go to kelbytraininglive.com or just go to Kelby Training and
Right. I mean, there's tons of different dates. There's Richmond, Virginia. That's where I'm going to be on the 27th. Matt's in Arlington, Texas on the 20th.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've got Ben in New York. I mean, there's
we got
tons of
Joe
different
kicking
dates.
off his tour
Yeah,
again back
April
in
24th,
Minneapolis. So that's cool. We'll give you free tickets away for that. And how about RC's book? The HDR book, coolest book on HDR ever written times 10.
Thank
and
you.
I didn't say that. It was American Photo who named it. All right. We're also giving away this book. This book is really selling well. This is Nicole's book. So this is from Nicole Young, who's a very, very awesome person, just all the way around, very, very good photographer. She did a book on the Nik plugins. Oh, excuse me, on the On1 plugins. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the Nik plugin book that's selling well. No, I'm kidding. It's this one. It's Nicole's book.
Nicole's great. Nicole's
Nicole's
really good at
rocks.
that stuff.
We're also giving away a pack of the signature-worthy Epson paper. So for your Epson printer,
I love that
I
paper.
know, dude. That's the best. That's the best. We're giving it all away on today's show.
I wouldn't
Hey,
mind that.
I have something free for you, and then we're going to take a break. So free, go to youtube.com, and you're going to go, well, isn't everything free there? Yes. Go to youtube.com/Kelby Media Group. We have tons of free stuff there, but what I want to talk to you about is there's a 45-minute free course preview. That right there, when you go to the homepage, right there, it is an exclusive web preview. We went and took little snippets of all our different classes, some real learning moments. Look, there's Brad, and we put them into this 45-minute free video just to give you an idea of what we do. So go there and watch that. It'll be lots of fun, but we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we are going to be ripping into 10 of our very best tips help you build a successful kick-butt portfolio. Don't go away. We're live right here on The Grid. Stick around.
The key to the headshot and capturing a great headshot or portrait for that matter is expression. You can have great lighting, you can have a great subject, you can have a killer background, but if you don't have expression, in my opinion, you got nothing. Hey, my name's Peter Hurley. I'm a portrait photographer in New York, and here I am in my city. I knew I was a portrait photographer because that's what I do. I just am intrigued by the fact that we all look so different. We have so many different expressions we can make. Why not go for them? Maniacal. The art of capturing expression is simply working with your subject to get organic and spontaneous life out of them, human stuff. Now, forehead like a chicken. Hold that, I like that, good. When you have a person Technical is out the window. I'm 90% therapist, 10% photographer. The technical's done. I'm Peter Hurley, and it's all about making faces in portraiture. Come check out my class at kelbytraining.com. Shebang, shebang, shebang! #1 catchphrase.
Hey, we are back. Scott Kelby here, RC, Cliff Mautner. We have got a great show for you, 10 tips for building a successful photography portfolio. Hey, how is it that we are able to bring these free shows to you each week?
Well, all of this stuff is available to you because of our sponsors.
We have sponsors. Thank you to B&H Photo, one of our big sponsors. They make sure that we're able to bring you this show. Go to bnhphoto.com or just BH. You don't have to put the and in. You can just go bhphoto.com. It's where I buy all my gear. Their stuff is insane. So go there and check them out. Also, thanks to On1 Software. They're one of our sponsors. We couldn't do that without them. They've got their brand new suite out, which is they redid the whole UI to all their stuff, and it's absolutely fantastic. And also Peach Pit Press, the people who publish our books and give us books to give away, like RC's book, the HCR book, or Nicole's Young on the On1 plugins. So thanks to those guys. We couldn't do the show without you. Please buy everything you can from them. Okay, let's get to work. 10 tips for building a successful portfolio. So I think the first place when you're building a portfolio, you have to make a decision, all right? Because I think every photographer who has any level of serious needs to have a portfolio. But I think that you have to decide who you're building their portfolio for. I mean, ultimately doing it for yourself. But who are you building it for outside? Are you building this portfolio to impress your friends, right? So look, I'm a photographer. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that, like, don't do that. Are you doing it to get clients? Is this, I'm building this portfolio because I want to get commercial work. I want clients to hire me and do work. Are you doing it to impress other photographers? There's nothing wrong with that either. But I think what you have to do first is decide, who am I building this portfolio for? So you tailor your portfolio to that purpose, you know, so if it's clients or whatever. So number one is, I think that if you start looking at this list I just mentioned and say, well, I'm not really going to sell work to clients, I'm not comfortable with that, or I have a full-time day job or whatever, I think there's another reason why you should have a portfolio. And I think it is because you'll know where you are in your journey. Because we have thousands of images on our laptops and everything, and our phones and mobile devices. Mobile devices. I'm hip like the young kids on our mobile devices. And I think that by having to narrow them down and really look at your very best work, I think it gives you an idea of where you are.
It's a barometer for yourself, basically.
It's a barometer.
You know, years ago when I first started shooting weddings, I had, if I would shoot, you know, let's say the first year I shot maybe 30, 40 weddings, I would choose several images from each wedding to select into a presentation for clients. And then as the years went on, fewer and fewer of those images made it into the portfolio. So, you know, now when I'm shooting, very rarely do I actually shoot something that actually slips into the portfolio. So I guess at the very beginning stages, you don't have to be terribly discriminating, but as you move on, you know, you really understand and you really see the progression in the level of work that you do. And my message for younger and less experienced photographers, you know, now I hate my work after, you know, as long as I've been doing it. It's harder.
Because I hate your work too.
I'm
I didn't want
telling
to
you.
be the one to say that.
I hate when I'm producing because it's like
course.
trying to make something that really excels and gets into that portfolio. I guess my message would be, hate your work sooner. Maybe you'll just get better faster. I don't know. It's be discriminating. It's really important.
Well, let me ask RC this, because I know how I feel. Like, if I have to look at stuff that I did a year ago, it makes me cringe. Like, when you look back a couple of years at work that you did back then, do you feel like, man, I was rocking it back then?
Oh no, it's absolutely horrifying. It's one of those things where I get into conversations with people all the time. And they're like, well, what do you think about your work, and how do you see your work? I mean, this image is great, this image is wonderful. And more often than not, I'm like, thank you very much for that. That's really, really good. But secretly, I'm always just like,
oh, not that.
I'm
Don't
such a
like
hack.
that one.
This sucks.
Oh, I know. I've got the I'm a hack thing in the big time.
But it's one of those things that I think that you guys hit the nail on the head in that. I was giving you the analogy earlier, which is like a piano player has a recital. Right? You don't play in a vacuum. You don't sit there and do any of that kind of stuff.
That's a good point.
You turn around and you go, I've gotten up to a specific point where I want to show people, and I want people to either clap or go, that sucked. And you just do that. You need to know kind of where you stand.
That's why
in
people
that
make the
space.
mistake, I think, sometimes if they're shooting for clients, okay, they get less feedback directly from a client. They'll get more feedback from a photographer and then fall into the trap of producing portfolio images, putting up images that photographers will be pleased with so they can get 50 likes on Facebook from other photographers. But that's BS, because if you're looking to book clients, you got to be very careful of that.
Because it's a different audience, what your client is looking for. Because I'll give you a quick example. I've said this before on the grid. So I took a shot at a workshop of a lighthouse in Maine. It's not anywhere in my portfolio. I don't show it anywhere. But if anybody ever sees that shot and they're not a photographer, they're like, oh, I love that shot. Everybody loves a lighthouse shot. It doesn't have to be shot in great light. It doesn't have to be perfect. If it's a lighthouse or a puppy, people, they absolutely love it. They love it right off the spot. So that's a different view than the photographers who go, oh God, not that Maine lighthouse. Oh, not that
If
one.
it's a puppy and a lighthouse.
Maybe you
at
put the
same
puppy at the
time.
base of the lighthouse.
In HDR.
But that is two different audiences. There's the audience of the public, which loves lighthouses, which loves puppies. And also the public loves a sunset. If you show you cannot show a sunset that people won't love. We could look at it as photographers and go, oh yeah, it's just a sunset. It's
Another
nothing.
sunset.
But the public loves it. Doesn't mean the public's stupid. They're just looking through a different set of eyes. What they're not looking at it like, oh, anybody can shoot a sunset, or they're just looking at it for what it is. I love lighthouses, and that's a beautiful lighthouse. So the same thing, I think, is what you're saying is, and it goes back to our point, deciding who you're making your portfolio for. And I do think whoever you are, you need one. Even if it's just to show where you are in your journey, like the recital. And I think that's a great analogy, because that's why they do recitals. It's like you want to get to the point where you can perform, and then can tell by the feedback of, personally, you'll know how you did in your performance. The audience will know how you did.
Your personal barometer.
You're going to get some feedback from what is really your audience, which are parents.
Now, Cliff, question for you.
Yeah.
So you do wedding photography.
I do.
Right? And you design portfolios for specific things. Are the pictures that you're putting in those portfolios sometimes pictures that you love, you don't love? Like, do you find yourself putting up, when you target, who do you target?
Well, there's a difference, though, and Scott and I talked before, there's a difference between what I'm putting on my website, what I'm placing on my blog.
Okay.
One of the things I feel strongly about is the website is kind of your store window. Okay, it doesn't get changed out quite as much, but I don't change it out as much as I should, but it's a store window. You're walking down Fifth Avenue, you're walking down Walnut Street in Philly, you're looking in, you really can't see what that store has. You can't tell the inventory unless you go inside.
Okay.
That's the blog. I think the blog is the window and should be the window into a photographer's soul, not just this store window, this very limited, almost shallow representation of what this photographer has, because especially weddings. Me personally, I put up 30, 40, 50 images on a blog post so that I can, in depth, tell that story, pick what I feel are the best images from that day, so I can show a level of the work and a level of consistency of that work.
And that's a key point.
That's why the blog is there.
We talked
like
for
about
me
that.
personally.
I like that level of consistency that people can see. He didn't just get lucky.
It's not 10 pictures. You got pictures. For
you
wedding
can do
photographers,
50.
I freak out about this. You got, and no offense to anybody that's watching, but a lot of people, they'll put up, 10 pictures, and 8 of them are going to be pictures of rings, shoes, flowers, place settings, dresses hanging from someplace, and I want to just say sometimes, was there a freaking wedding at that wedding? Where are the moments? Where's the emotions? Where's the the storyline? Sometimes it's just limited, and I try to pull at heartstrings and show emotion and show the whole story, the depth, yes, consistency.
Can I interrupt for 1 second? Can we do this? I'm going to give my video team just a heads up. Can we pull up Cliff's website so we can see some of his
Pull up
images?
the blog.
Well, I want to see some portfolio
You can
images.
see, there you go. I'm guilty of not keeping up with the portfolio. I'm admitting
I know,
right now.
but the last time I went there, I wanted to throw all my stuff in
So
the
if I
trash.
showed, so if we showed football images from 3.5 years ago as opposed to 2.5 years ago, you wouldn't like that very much either. But let's do it. Go ahead.
No, I won't show it. Go to his blog.
Go ahead.
Go find Cliff's.
No, you can show the website. It's
No, but I
fine.
think
don't care.
Dude, the images that you would
It's
throw
all right.
away will be most people's best images of a lifetime.
It's quite all right. I'm happy with the blog.
yeah.
Oh, I'm happy with the site.
No.
See, look at that. Look at this. This is right there on the front page.
Yeah, see?
See?
And that's, but I think that hits on a one-two
We're so
punch.
insecure, God, aren't we? Man, all of us.
But this is one of those things
That's
that I
what
think
makes
that
us
hits
better.
on two major components that
You
we're
can click
talking
on
about.
blog if you want.
I think that when people see
You can click on blog if you want there. Look at this. Dude, you suck. What do you, I haven't done these in 2.5 years. Look at these. Look at that. Well, there's what you're talking about, the emotion, right?
Yeah.
Why aren't you just showing a pair of shoes? Yeah, but look, the bride's with her.
That was the 8514 ad, actually.
Look at that.
But the key with it, and I think that one of the things that I think Cliff does very well in terms of the 1-2 punch, is I've always agreed with you in that. I think that a blog is very, very important because I think that it does show continuity, it does show hook, it does show a little bit more emotion. But in that, I think that having a very, very impactful portfolio, which you do, you may not necessarily like it because it's a little bit older.
And you've seen
but
it
it is
all
a gold.
before.
We all
But
get
it is
tired
a
of our
very, very
work,
big
sure.
gold standard of the best work that you produce, and I think that you do that very, very well. So,
Well, thank you very much.
It's a good thing.
Appreciate it. Much appreciated.
So,
Dude, we would all love to look at our portfolios and have it look like that.
I
All
look
right.
at that all day long.
Hey, I want to get a couple questions in here real quick. John Swartz. Hey, John. Guys, have you ever gone back and looked at some of your early photos to compare them to your latest photos? Yeah, you know where I go to look for mine, John? In the trash.
In the trash folder.
I cannot stand to go back and look. I see stuff I did 3 years ago, and I'm like, I can't even believe I didn't throw my stuff away. Jesus says, does picture size matter when presenting?
Yes.
It does, and we're going to talk about that. It's coming up in just a minute. Your portfolio, and so David D says, or Dave D says, your portfolio should include the images you want to shoot in the future. Want to photograph food? Show amazing food photographs. That's a good point. We're actually going to talk about that. McKean Photo, when we're so self-critical, if we then get any accolades, it becomes hard to believe them. How do you balance that?
Ooh, I heard an awesome quote that I've been using a lot. I'm really good. Well, I mean, Bill Fortney. So Bill Fortney is an amazing landscape photographer,
yeah,
and he
he
was
is.
out with somebody, and he basically made this analogy, and I'm trying to remember who. I think it was Dr. Charles Stanley that he was with, and they were talking about these accolades, and they were showering accolades on this person because I think he's a great speaker, but he's also a great photographer, and Fortney had gone to Dr. Stanley and said, how does your head even fit through doorways with so many different things? And he had said one of the best things, and I always keep it in mind. He said, when somebody comes and talks to you about that, you thank them very much for feeling that way. You recognize the fact that they felt that way, but when they walk away, you let them take the compliment with them. And I was just like, it's almost kind of like it's a clean slate. It's like as soon as somebody turns around and tells you, it's wonderful, thank you very much, thank you very
very
much.
clever.
And you don't even think about it. And
No,
you just let
I
it
do something like that. If someone comes up and says something nice about my photography, I thank them, I acknowledge that they said it, and as they walk away, I go, "You're stupid." Is that bad?
You always have
no,
to be
I'm
gracious.
totally kidding.
You have to be gracious. No
Hey,
question.
we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to finally move on to number 2. So stick around. We're live right here on the grid. Don't go away.
I would describe my style of photography as extremely focused on expression, interaction, and authenticity. The idea of it being a lifestyle photography does fit because it really is the style of how one lives their life and what they express about themselves. Specifically as it relates to a family, I want to think about the fact that I am photographing multiple people, but representing them as a one. These people belong to each other, and I want to show that. Why people are coming to you in the first place. Why do they want a portrait? Life is moving so fast and they want to freeze some of it. They want to stop this and remember what it is that they're doing, who it is that they love, who they are together. This is something that when they're looking back in 20, 30 years, they can then see everything about that time in their life that meant so much to them. I'm Tamara Lackey, and I'd like to invite you to check out my class on kelbytraining.com.
All right. Hey, everybody, we are back. Hey, 2 things. Our buddies, Calvin Hollywood and Glenn Dewis, are doing a very, very cool seminar called Photoshop Freak Show. It's coming up in Swing in London. It is Sunday, the 24th of March, and it goes from 10 to 4. You can go to photoshopfreakshow.com. These guys are amazing. Also, in London, there must be something in the water in London, because Cliff, you're doing a workshop in London.
Yeah, they got this little thing called the U.S. Open on June 15th, so I'm going to head to London. There's no weddings in Philadelphia that weekend. There's no hotel.
Everyone's at...
so I'm going to go to London and teach.
Nice. All right. And where can they learn about your...
On my blog, cmphotography.com/blog. And they can email me for information.
There it is. Would they click on that thing saying announcing my UK boot camp in London?
That probably does it.
It probably does it?
It's right there. Yeah,
all right. And if you go to the blog, see the blog, can you click on the blog, go up?
There we go.
Oh, no, there's all the workshop stuff right there.
Yeah, there's images below it.
All right. And how many days is it?
It's 2 days.
2 days?
Yeah.
Great.
2 long days.
2 long days.
Very long days.
Do you work them to death?
I do.
They get their money's worth there, don't they?
They'll be about 13, 14 hour days.
I got to tell you, how we found Cliff? Can I just give a 30-second thing?
Go ahead.
So I'm at Photo Plus East a couple of years ago, and I was meeting with my editor, Ted. I call him my Ted-editor. And we're having lunch. And Matt Kliskowski is going to do watching some classes. And Matt sends me a text and says, dude, can you get to room 126 right this minute? I'm like, oh my God, Matt's fallen and broken a hip, which was likely for Matt. So, or something, I thought. So I said, Ted, I don't know what's going on, but I got to go. Matt says he needs me right now. So I leave, and I'm rushing around trying to find it. And if you've ever been to the Javits Center, the rooms aren't exactly marked real well. It took me 5 minutes to find it. And Matt is waiting. The only way I found Matt is waiting for me outside the door. When I finally get there, Matt says, you have got to come in and see this guy. This guy is unbelievable. He shoots mostly natural light, and he's a wedding photographer, and just come in. So I'm like, I'm relieved that Matt has not broken a hip. I go and I sit down. I'm then there 5 minutes to him, and I lean over to Matt and go, we got to get this guy. And so we approached Cliff right there at the thing and said, you got to come and do some training for us. And am I glad we did. He has some of the most popular classes on Kelby training, and he gets to be a free guest on our show today. So thank you very much
this is free?
For that. Oh, it's incredibly free. Yeah. Hey, you know what? The sponsors don't give quite that much money, Cliff. Not quite that much. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. How many images in your portfolio? I have my idea. Now, first off, you can have multiple categories, because there are people that do weddings and they do portraits, or they do weddings and they do landscapes, or they may do multiple things, 3 things, 5 things, 9 things, whatever. I'm talking about for an individual category. So let's just say your category is portraits. Just your own personal opinion. I have mine. How many images do you think is enough?
Personally, I think 20 or less. I think fewer is absolutely better than more.
I agree.
It's the ruthless aspect coming back at us again. It's the power of the images. It's not the number of images. How powerful are these photographs?
And if you were going to put up 30 and you get it down to 15, 16, it's going to be more powerful, because everything that wasn't the best got called out.
You don't want someone going through and saying, well, this isn't so good, this isn't so good. That one's not bad. You want this person saying, these are excellent.
Yeah, every shot is.
Yeah.
All right, RC, how many?
Yeah, I'd say definitely 20 is probably the high end of most of that.
No more.
It's you have to kind of narrow it down. And
correct. I have to narrow them. Most of mine are 20 to 24. And I'm thinking I'm going to have to trim. It's hard to trim, but we'll talk about that.
There's got to be 4 in there that suck somehow.
Oh, dude, there's definitely 4 in there that suck. There's 4 that suck in every one. In fact, I looked at one of mine today. I looked at my sports portfolio, and I saw immediately what I thought, because I thought, I have like 24 in there. And so what if I wanted to get down to 15? I'm like, I was able to get rid of 8 photos like that.
Yeah, but when we were looking at your images before, all right, the audience didn't get to see it, but there were images, both RC and I were like, hey, that's really nice. And so those are the ones that just, they've got zing. There's some beautiful stuff in there.
I kept the zingy ones, but I have a couple that are like borderline zingy. I know, I really do think my own portfolio needs trimming. So I've always been of the mind, and I got this, I actually nailed down this number from Jay Maisel. So I asked Jay when we were doing one of our classes, and he said no more than 24.
Without the F-bomb, though.
No, he said no more than F and 24. And so, because he really can't say a sentence, especially, it's really bad when he teaches like in an elementary school. It's just horrible. It's just the worst thing you've ever seen. Anyway, this is why he can't go to teach at most elementary schools, but they love him in high school. Anyway, so I did 24. I went through all mine and got him down to 24, but now that they're at 24, I'm starting to think it's too much. So I'm agreeing with you, even though my number going in.
Unless there's 24 that are wows.
Yeah, there's a couple of them are maybe not that wow.
Well,
but you know what it is?
You just made a decision yourself.
I think that also it's also very important, and it's one of the biggest problems I think that people have in social media, which is you got to kind of know when to talk and you got to know when to shut up. And I think that what happens is we want to show, and I did this, and I did this, and I did this, and we're just sharing, and 20 can kind of get you into a spot where all of a sudden you're just like, boom, thank you, good night, and it's like, you're gonna run into the risk, and I'm saying this completely
and being repetitive.
A person who being repetitive. I'm saying this as a person. Like I just said, oh yeah, no more than 20, and I look over at my blog and I'm like, just don't go there, because that's not the thing.
Well, yeah.
So it's hard.
Well,
it's
the blog's
a very
different than your
hard,
portfolio.
It's a very hard process.
But when we were looking at Cliff's portfolio just a moment ago, they were all pictures of brides, right?
Well, the wedding images, not
wedding. I mean, there were
they're
a
wedding
lot
images.
but they were, each one was so different that there was, I didn't see one lick of repetitiveness in those images, and I think that's what I like. I when I look at like my fashion or whatever, I see that I have a lot of beauty shots in there, and I don't need as many beauty shots. I think once you've told the client, look, I can shoot beauty, here's a few shots, you don't have to say, here's 9 beauty headshots, because I think it does get repetitive. So I'm going to be trimming down mine for sure. So here's a question. I just added something to my portfolio that I haven't done, and I heard a bunch of people talk about it, and why I've added it is I added a category for personal work. So the categories, can you look at do you see my screen at all? Does my screen show up? All right. So I'm going to stretch it out here just so I cover all the mess on my desktop. So I have like these different categories. So I've got sports, which is just general sports, football, fashion, people, travel, landscape, and I added personal, because the stuff that's in my personal one doesn't fit in any of these. It's stuff that I've kind of done for myself, stuff that I like, that doesn't fit. It doesn't fit into landscape. I'll show you, just to give you an idea. So like, for example, this car does not fit in any of my, things. Some of these airplane shots, they don't, I like them. They're stuff that I personally like to do, but I don't really have a home for them.
Did you do those with Moose?
No. None of these are Moosey ones, because you know what? If you shoot any airplane photos near Moose, then you see what he shot while you were there. You stop shooting.
He had a great story. I said, why did you start shooting planes? He said, they pay more than critters.
Yeah, they pay more than critters.
He's a man of few words.
No. Moose he's the man when it comes to aviation. I would be embarrassed to even shoot.
And you know what I did completely on the opposite end of the spectrum?
Yeah.
I removed categories off of my portfolio.
How many
off
shots
of my
do you
website?
have?
If you go to my website now,
yeah, it's just.
I have, so this is the website, this is my website.
Yeah.
And if you go to the portfolio,
yeah,
people, places, that's it.
Those are categories.
But that's it. No, I'm saying, like, I don't have like sports, fashion, this and like, I don't have a lot of categories. I actually went in the opposite direction.
I got to be honest with you, RC. I haven't seen you shoot a lot of sports.
No, but I'm saying, in terms of
messing with you, dude.
In terms of what we're trying to do when we're giving advice on that, I found myself in a position where I turned around and I said, I tried to over compartmentalize everything, and I turned around. I was like, well, these are interesting people, interesting places with white, places with this, and it just kind of spread out all of my work everywhere. And I said I do 2 things that I like to do, and I think that I do pretty good. One is I'd like to do environmental portraits of people in environments,
in
and
a
2,
portrait cookie factory.
and HDR. So people and places pretty much cover the whole thing.
What did you just say?
And HDR.
Okay.
But it's just limiting most of that stuff, and then limiting what's happening on my website to just be very, very impactful. Short, these are exactly the things that you get from me.
All right. Hey, what was our topic? I lost my train of thought.
Top 10.
Oh, no. Okay,
portfolio.
number 2, we talked about how many images. Hey, here was one thing that I would do. So do you include personal work? You don't include personal work.
No.
You know why?
Yeah, I do.
You have no soul. Okay, how about you?
See, what I do is with personal work.
Cliff's like, what?
I take all of the personal work and I wrap it into the blog. Because a lot of the times, rather than putting personal work in kind of this, is this a plane? Is this a bus? Is this a car? What does this have to do with everything?
I'm not sure if a potential bride would really care about my personal work.
Nah.
See,
well, I have no potential brides.
So what I turn
No
around
brides
is
are gonna hire me.
anytime that I do any kind of personal work stuff, I put it into the blog, because at least then I can add some content to it. I can add other things to it, and it beefs up that section of the website. It leaves my portfolio with just the things that I want them to see, and personal work wrapped up in who I am, which is what I'm using the blog for.
Cool. Hey, we're gonna take a 60-second break. Don't move. When we come back, we have number 3. Our next topic is a really important one. So which format are we going to do? Are we going to do digital? Are we going to do a book? What's our portfolio going to be? Online, in person, all that stuff. Stick around. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Don't go away.
I can't wait to do this again.
Hey, we are back. Scott Kelby here with Cliff and RC. I said 60 seconds. It was 90 seconds. I didn't know because as soon as we went to break, they go, it's really 90 seconds. Sorry about that. Got an extra 30 seconds on you. Wink. All right. Hey, when we took the break, I just mentioned that we were going to talk about which format, so digital or print book. I say both. I say you need to have a website for sure today, because a website's going to be kind of you knocking, get you in the door. Mm-hmm. You need to be able to, because I mean, you can email stuff to people. I don't really like getting email bombed. Like if I was a photo editor, I don't want you just sending me an email with 10 images in it. I don't mind you sending me a link to say, hey, if you have a moment, you want to check out my work, I'm doing some new stuff or whatever. I would be cool with that. I don't want you sending me 10 images. So I think you need to have an online one. But I think you need to have a print book. I'm going to tell you why in a moment. How do you feel about print books?
I think it depends upon the genre of photography you're looking to shoot. You know, for a wedding photographer, a print book, you know, we have albums. You know, that's a little bit of a different ballgame, where people can see the finished product, so they can hold something tangible to give them an idea of what they're actually going to receive. It's different for shooting for an art director. It's different than shooting for an editorial photo editor. So,
so your wedding album, do you have one that you use that has samples of the work, or
I don't go crazy. Some people, you walk into their studio, they've got 15, 20 sample books laying on a desk. Personally, I have maybe 2 or 3, and I just show them the styles of books, because I'll tell them that the album is just the vehicle to display the work. It's not, I don't want them sitting there going through and saying, oh, I hate her bridesmaid gowns. I don't want them getting caught up in all the, just the trivial nonsense that they can get, caught up in. I want them to look at the book, the layout, how the images are finished, the storyline, and every once in a while I'll make a new book.
So, but you're different, Cliff, in that, when you're one of the top wedding photographers in the world, you're not like starving going, man, I hope the phone rings this week.
That's absolutely not true.
Dude, you shoot 52 weeks a year.
Not true.
You shoot all year.
The way this industry is right now, every single booking is a monumental accomplishment. It truly is. I take it very seriously. You got to bust your ass to book each and every single wedding. Mm-hmm. It is. You take nothing for granted. Just because you had a couple good years doesn't mean they're all going to be good for the future.
I didn't say you take it for granted, but when you've got to the place where you're at,
No. Do you know how many top 10 wedding photographers there are?
9.
They've done it for like 5-6 years, so there's 60, maybe more.
There's not 10 different people every year.
Yes, it is.
Is it 10 different people?
Absolutely. Yes, because if it was truly top 10, it's like, I was 2009 top 10. Well, I guess I'm not on the list anymore. No, every single year it's new. And they don't even call it In the World anymore. They call it American Photo's Top 10 Wedding Photographers.
Uh-huh.
They don't call it in the world anymore.
Of the lower
You were
East
lucky you
Coast
got it when they
region.
said
That's
the world,
right,
'cause it sounds
exactly
better
right.
in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah, I can say that.
Okay, so here's why I think that you need to have a print book. So you definitely need to have the web. But let's just say that you go through this. You email a client, a potential client. You go, hey, here's some new work I've been doing. Take a look. I'd like to do something for you. They go look at it and they think, oh, I might like to have them in for an interview. So if they have them in for an interview, and you sit down, what are you going to say? Well, hey, it's good to meet you. Here's my laptop.
Here, look,
go to my website. Here,
I got
look on my phone.
There you go. Exactly.
That's when you're there for them to, obviously see your personality, but that's when there is a psychological
Holding something tangible.
It's
no question about
exactly.
it.
Exactly. What's the word I'm looking for? I actually wrote it down. It is
Visceral.
not visceral. It's no, come on, what's the word? It's because I was in the wrong place in the thing. Other
That's
way.
a small teleprompter.
It's a very small teleprompter, and they don't ever move it, which is what makes it fun. What is it? It's
We get it.
tactile. Okay, it's
Tactile.
that
There you
thing. I
go,
don't know what it is.
tactile.
Tactile. But there is
It hits the senses.
emotion. There's an emotional response.
That was the word?
Well, it's not the word really. The word will come to me 5 minutes after we're off the air. But it has an effect. Impact. That's the word.
Emotional
There is
impact.
an emotional
Yes.
impact when you hold a printed image.
Sure.
Because otherwise I'm looking at it in a screen. The image is really, it's somewhere else and I'm getting to see it. When I hand you a book or you hold it, like even when I just make photo books from trips, I can show them on my blog, I can show them on my monitor. When they actually hold the book, it is an absolutely different experience. It is a much more impactful. What'd you say?
Let it jump in. Impactful.
Yes,
trying to
impactful. It's a much more impactful. It would be like this, and you know what? It gives you credibility. Number one, it's another level. Anybody can put up a website. My kid has a website, right? Anybody can have a website. But when you show up with a professionally done photo book, and it has to be class.
It's polished.
It has to be polished.
Polished, yes.
The images have to be.
Yes.
It's also psychological justification. When you think about it, right? If you go back towards if you go to wedding photographers and let's say you have somebody over to your studio and you talk to them about a wedding and you turn around and go, this is the kind of work that I produce, and you hold the album, the type of album that you use, leather bound versus hardcover, boards versus not boards, when they're holding that, how good it feels justifies what the service is going to be. It's like, this guy could cost X amount of money, but when they feel it and they sense it and they turn those pages, they go, this is why.
What's even better about, that you mentioned the tangible emotional impact of holding something, it's even better. And I used to do this years ago, and I might even go back to it just a little bit, showing boards. Holding an image, having that client hold an image, and telling a story about that image. Where did that image stem from? How did you make that? What does it mean to the client? Talking to that client and telling them about that photograph, it is definitely a connection. The endorphins kick in, and you just it's,
and see, and that's the thing that I was just going to point this out real quick as we're talking about the print size of it.
Yeah.
Like this is a carrier that I have, and it's probably
Can you
really
hold it up?
hard.
This is kind of off
And I think
camera.
you have the exact same thing.
Yeah, I do.
So it's a Temba.
It's big.
Right,
Look
it's a
how
Temba
big it
carrier,
is.
and what that does is basically there's the front of it has a waybill section.
And that's where you put your iPad.
Right. Well, what I do is a lot of the stuff that I'm doing recently is people will contact me to purchase prints, right? And those prints are not cheap. So what happens is a lot of the times I'm going to want to send them a sample of my work, or I want people to be able to take a look at the stuff. The paper that I use on that, the choice of that paper is very, very specific, because the moment that somebody opens that up and they grab a sheet of paper, all of that, you're saying the impact, they grab it, they hold it
Watch
with their hands.
what people do when they hold
this.
your print, when they hold your Epson signature worthy.
Exactly.
But they do. They do this.
And
They'll even go, ooh. They're reacting to not
Or
even
they'll
your
just kinda-
photo, but
They're
the
very
whole
subtle.
And
experience.
all of that stuff justifies it to themselves. All of that stuff makes them go,
I'll have
it's
my
worth
clients
it.
absolutely touch the fine art velvet paper. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's what happens. So so how you print it and having it printed, I think to start, just to kind of go back to it, having it printed, absolutely. because it offers impact. But how you have that printed is even more so.
Is just as important. And it's also, what would happen what kind of credibility would you have if someone said, well, can I have your business card? Yeah, I don't really use a business card. I don't really have a business card. What does that tell the customer? It's like, well, let me see your printed portfolio. I don't really have one. I just do a web thing. These are all messages. These are all red warning lights. So I think that and this is I think we're all kind of in agreement about having both the web and the print. I think the web is what gets your foot in the door, and the print is what closes the deal. So, and you know what? Today there are so many great online places to have your printing done. MPix makes books. Blurb makes books. A lot of people, and then of course, then there's the really high-end $250. You know, like when Dixie Dixon was here a few weeks ago, she brought in her book, and it was fabulous. I mean, her book was just, it looked like. And it was probably, I think she said, what, $300, $400? Something. It was per book, and she has 3 of them.
And when you get into the wedding,
speaking with us at the Nikon booth, WPPI.
Yeah,
nice.
Sure.
And when you get into the wedding business, I mean, forget it. I mean, everything's about books on the wedding side.
Forget about it.
It's one of those things where it's essential.
About it.
Forget about it.
All right.
From South Philly.
Number 4. Who knows what number 4 is? Here, I'll have to look at a piece of paper here. Hey, while I'm looking at this paper, let's take a short break. Is this really 60 seconds? Give me a number. Yes, they said it's really 60 seconds. Stick around. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
The business of photography begins the moment you press the button and click the shutter. But it isn't just about taking great photographs. Whether you're a professional or a beginner, you need to learn how to protect yourself in the images you take. I'm New York attorney Ed Greenberg, and along with photographer Jack Resnicki, together we'll walk you through each and every step of the process. We will teach you how to protect your images as well as protect yourself. We'll show you why your model releases are every bit as important as the images you take. So come check out our classes on model releases and copyright registration on kelbytraining.com and only on kelbytraining.com.
Hey, we are back. That was really 60 seconds. Hey, I want to shout out to Expo Imaging, the people that make the Rogue flash benders. You use those, don't you?
I love them. I really do. I'll be speaking for them at WPPI at the little trade show booth. I love them. The little softbox, the large flash bender. Great
you do
modifiers.
the snoots, all the little modifiers that wrap around.
Yeah, I do. They sent me a bunch of them. I use almost every one of them.
There you go.
I really do.
Unsolicited
On a single
testimony
wedding day.
right there.
And
Go to Expo
I get paid
Imaging.
nothing to use it. I love it.
Really? I get paid nothing to use it either. ExpoImaging.com. But they do help sponsor our, God bless them. We love them. They help sponsor our show. Go to ExpoImaging.com and check out their stuff. Hey, Brad had a really great comment. Brad says he knows of photographers who purposely don't put everything they shoot on their site, so that way they have new work to show clients when they meet them. So, Cliff, why don't you say that's what you were really doing by not updating your website, is having new work?
I wish I could, but actually, if there's some, me personally, the web presence is so important. If it works for him, I think that's great. I do think now that with the amount of wedding photographers out there, if there's something that I find that has impact and just this, oomph to it that's going to bring people in the door or ringing the phone, I'm putting it up there. Yep. There's so many photographers out there right now, and digital media is the way to go.
Can I ask you one question before
sure.
we go to the next one? Cliff, I've had a lot of people tell me, like I'll see somebody that has so many images in their portfolio and they go, but I want to show the clients that I can shoot everything. I want to include, I shot this shot at night. I shot this one underwater. I want to be able, I don't want someone to look at my work and go, oh, he can't do that. So they put a ton of images in there. What are your thoughts about that?
Again, depending upon your target client, but I do understand that, for example, maybe it's not the best image in the world, but there's an image that I think brides would want to see, City Hall in Philadelphia, for example. It's kind of trite, but a lot of brides like to have a photograph there. So I shoot it at night. I shoot it really dramatically. Maybe it's not the best photo in the world, but I got to put it on the website so people see it. I understand their point. I just think
You skate a really thin line when you're doing that.
Because then you're taking the chance on putting something up that's less than your best.
Well, see, and I think that to some degree, when people are looking at your portfolio, they want to get a specific thing. Like when people go, I want to have a wedding, right? When you want to buy, this. When you want a Cliff Mautner inspired image, you want to go to Cliff Mautner. So when people are hiring you, they turn around and they go, I want
from
that.
your mouth to everyone's ears, yeah.
Right, but I want that. And I think that the importance of voice in all of that stuff, I think, is very, very important. I look at, let's say, commercial work. When people hire Dan Winters, they want to hire Dan Winters for Dan Winters. At that point, by the time Dan Winters shows up, they know exactly what they're getting. So I think that's very effective.
People used to not put certain images up because they were afraid other photographers would sort of emulate or copy even. You can't think about that anymore. I've had my images stolen all over the world. So
I steal yours all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So you really have to take all that into consideration. No, I think if you have it, use it. Otherwise, I think you're wasting it.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Cliff. I'm sorry I got carried away with RC here. That's
quite all right.
All right, sequence. All right, Cliffy. You're starting off your portfolio.
Yeah.
Now, let's just say, hypothetical situation, I've decided to do print and the web. I've got it down to 20 images, 15 images I want to put up there. What's the sequence that you would put them in?
You got to start strong. You got to start. I mean, you got to start really strong. You have, as soon as that whoever's looking at it opens it up, they want to continue to look at your work.
Right.
Because if it's something mediocre from the start, they're going to say, I hope it gets better.
Right. They don't wait 5 or 6 images to decide whether you're good or not.
No.
They
right
open.
away.
They look at the first
Instant.
image. You better have a big impact.
Damn right.
All right. So
that's why, by the way, on websites, you'll see that on my website there are like 5 rotating images on the home page.
Yeah.
A lot of web designers will say, "Do you want some rotating home page images?" So it's those home page images that hopefully will make people stay on that website.
Right. So you pick 5 of your very
Same
best.
concept.
Right. Okay. So what was I going to say? So we start off really strong, right? And we end.
Same way.
Got to end
if
strong.
not stronger.
Right, because when you get to the end, you want them to go close that book and go, wow, this is great stuff. And I've seen people really front load their portfolios where you're like, ooh, this is good. Ooh, this guy's good. And it ends kind of like,
You want somebody to reach, as soon as they see it, reach in their pocket and give you the credit card.
Right.
It's a visual concert.
You take anything to
make it easy for clients to give you money.
It's a visual concert. That's what I tell people.
You take American Express?
I will take American Express if it's the only way.
See, you don't like taking American Express.
No, they rape you.
Do you give them a discount?
I use
if they
American Express.
Visa?
No discount, but it's a percentage or
I'm just
two.
messing with you,
It's
dude.
all right.
You take
You got
American
a daughter
Express?
getting married?
I do, not for a long time, I hope. All right, so sequence. Now, so if you start off really, really strong and you end really, really strong, what's kind of in the middle isn't nearly as important because every image can't be your best image. You're going to have out of 15 images or 20 images, some that are the best, some that are the worst. Start off strong.
End strong.
End
They
strong.
still have
I was just saying when you guys were talking
But
about
it's
the
all gotta
Amex
be
thing,
good stuff.
They still have to have impact.
It's a visual concert.
Yes.
It's like when you go to a rock concert, they don't go, hey, and the last song of the night is going to be that song that no one ever really bought and no one really cared about. No, they end with
There can also
this.
be, you should also consider juxtaposition throughout the portfolio in terms of what may go with what. So.
I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah. It's almost like an art gallery. Where you can you juxtapose and the way things hang, some things go together. Unless it's the Barnes Foundation, and that's a whole other.
And also, I've seen people group portfolios by subject matter. So you wouldn't maybe want a football picture right next to a portrait of a baby. Like you might want to kind of move, and you almost want to blend from one set of images to the next, instead of basically just having an abrupt change. You might want to do it by color.
Or if it's a
by
wedding
warm
photographer,
tones to cool tones.
chronological order of the day. You start with
starting-
getting your prep process through to the end of the
Yeah,
reception.
I like that. I think
Yeah.
that's a good one for a wedding photographer.
I love the juxtaposition. I love the transitions of colors. I like seeing like yellows and then blues and then like work from dark to light. Like I love seeing
something like that.
images in those
Yep.
in those voices.
Just so you're telling a story. Your portfolio is supposed to tell a story, which is why I like your idea of doing the whole day.
Yep.
And using different weddings, but picking the best, the images.
Yeah, it
from the
doesn't
wedding
have to be the same wedding, of
right.
course.
I love that. I love that idea. All right, next one, and this is maybe 4, maybe number 5 because of the way I've ordered these. If you're trying to get work as a wedding photographer, don't show images of product shots. And I see this a lot where during our careers, now I'm a teacher, right? So I have to shoot all kinds of different stuff, even though I don't really like all of it. Like I really don't like commercial photography. I can actually do pretty decent product shots. RC and I worked on product shots together. You don't see a lot of our product shots in RC or my portfolio, even though we can do them. But I think what people will do is they shot a product shot, they put it up there, but then someone calls you and says, "Oh, I saw you did a product shot. I'd like you to do one for us." And you go, "Oh, I really want to shoot weddings." So don't put things in your portfolio that you don't want to shoot just to show that you can do it. Because if you are trying to get work, all right, if you're really trying to attract clients, make sure that what you want to shoot. Somebody made that point a minute ago that says, put the images in there that you want to shoot in the future. They said if you want to shoot food shots, put great food shots in, and you'll be attracting people who want a food photographer. So if you're a food photographer, don't put shots that you did of a wedding unless you want to get a wedding gig. So that's another point to keep in mind. Put the shots in there that you want to get. I have a lot of shots of football, a lot of shots of sports, a lot of shots of athletes. What am I looking for? Football, athletes, those things. All right, so that was a quick one, which is good because we don't have that much time. Editing, edit like a pro.
Finish the images.
Number one, like Cliff says, finish the images. It's got to be your very, very best stuff. But not just the editing in post-processing, but you've got to make sure that you're choosing the right kind of images. In other words, that you're choosing... if you let RC, here's what he does. He reads the freaking feed while we're on here. We have 2 people reading the feed for us here in the studio live. But RC has the attention span of a hamster if that thing is open. And he's like, there's typing. And he's typing. He's not watching. He's sit off the
answering
set.
Amex questions.
Don't
I'm sorry.
answer questions. How many times have we gone over this?
He was in the middle of a conversation, too. There we go.
Can somebody else take RC's place here? Pete, get over here. He wants to be answering questions.
Are you missing Matt
Don't
now?
leave.
Well, somebody
Missing
thanked
Matt?
you for answering that question, but now you won't see it, so.
There we go. Pete says somebody thanked you for answering that question, but you won't see it. All right, we have a couple more things to go down on this list, and it's not really a couple, it's a couple more. But we're going to take a short break, and then I'm going to talk to you about the breaks we've been taking when we come back from this break. Don't go away. How long are we gone? 60? 30 seconds, not even a break. It's like 30 seconds. It's like nothing.
Ooh, we're gonna need 45.
We're going to need 45. Okay, to pick up where we left off. Hey, by the way, so you see we've taken a bunch of short breaks today. So what we're trying to do is make, we used to start off the show and we would go, like we noticed last week, 14 minutes before we actually started the topic, because we're talking about where you are, see what's going on, and we're trying to pay the bills with sponsors and different things. And so we thought, well, I would rather have a number of different little short breaks and just get to the meat quicker. So we were at about 5 minutes in where we got to the topic. So it gives us a chance me to yell at RC. It gives me a chance to clean up the water I spilled. It gives us a little break mentally here to regroup.
Water right there.
Is that water? Yeah. And so, and so we're trying it. We'll see how it goes. Let us know if you think it was too many breaks. They're all short, 60 seconds. One was 90 seconds. We pulled a fast one. But just kind of let us know your feedback. Or we're trying to balance two things. We can't do the show for free because the show costs a freaking ton. You know what it costs to bring in people like Cliff and pay them the exorbitant fees that we're doing? Costs a lot. It's crazy. He asks for crazy money. So then, but all the things, we have all these things. So we're trying to keep some kind of a balance, right, in it. So it may work, it may suck. We'll find out. But you'll let us know, won't you? I'm sure you will. All right. We're talking about editing. So for editing, you're going to need to ask somebody else. You're going to need to get opinions from people that you respect. But here's what I want you to consider is if you're trying to impress other photographers, that's why you have your portfolio, there's nothing wrong with that. You need to ask photographers who are unbiased. Don't ask photographers that are going to try to beat you down, because there are people who will take advantage, like they would love. I know photographers who would love for me to call them and ask them, because they would be like, and they're going to be mean to you. Don't get those people, and you know who those people are. Try to get, and don't ask your mom or your sister.
You know what else you shouldn't do? Don't put them on Facebook and say, what do you think? Because you're going to get, 50 likes, and your ego's going to get pumped up. And, even if it sucks, you're going to get 20 likes.
Yeah, if the shutter went off by accident, you'll get 20 likes.
Exactly.
It's like, oops, I was going to use the film metaphor, but there's no film. I opened it when roll wasn't done. It doesn't really work anymore. Anyway, make sure that you get opinions from people that you respect. Like, I ask RC, I'll say, what do you think of this shot? Should it get in there? You know what was really bad? One day, I had to pull a couple shots out, and I brought RC and like Brad and Pete, a couple guys in my office. I'm like, I want to add 2 shots to my portfolio, so I have to take 2 out. And that really helps your portfolio grow. If you think you have 2 that are better than what you've got there, you've got to take the 2 weakest shots out. And I brought them on my office, and I said, okay, help me find one. All right. Oh, not that one. Not that one.
I do it with my studio manager, Noelle Andrews, who's wonderful. I will literally stand up, okay, and have her sit down. For like my Nikon presentation, for example,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, I got it narrowed down. I got it narrowed down to 60. I got to get it to 40. And I'll stand there like this, bite my she's like, delete. And I'm like, oh, and it hurts, but having somebody you really trust, even though it really hurts sometimes when there's an image you felt emotionally attached to,
right?
And you see that delete button, and you're like, "Why that one?
Well, that's what
Why
happened.
that one?"
That's what happened with these guys. We come to this one shot, and they go, "Yeah, oh, that one's got to go," and they all thought it, and I'm like, "Not that one." They're like, "Yeah, we've been meaning to tell you for a while." I'm like, "Oh my God!"
But let's also remember this: you have veto power. If you
I know.
really feel
I know, but
like
you know what? When everybody's in
there,
your office, they're all gathered around, they're like, yeah, dude, that's the one. Then you have to realize that's the one. We had to have an intervention with a photographer one time. I won't mention any names, but we had to go into his office and we said, I swear to God, if you show that photo again, we're going to beat the crap out of you.
And yet it's still in your portfolio. Hello? No, I'm just
Is it
telling
still in your portfolio?
No, I said it's still in your portfolio.
No, I didn't take it and put it in mine. Okay, it was RC. We had to we called it an intervention. We all came into his office at once. We said, dude.
And I have sold that image. Thank you.
I know he loves that image.
But I love it.
He and his mom love it.
But,
She bought
but
it.
if you love it that much, keep it in.
No, but it was a good point, though. It really was a good point because it did suck. Not that it sucked, but it was just not representative of something that
it was not representative of RC's other work, which I think is terrific.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're about out of time. So, all right, if it's web-based, you got to keep it clean. You've got a web-based one.
Yes.
It's got to be clean. Where can they go and get a good, clean template? RC, there's templates everywhere. You wrote a book on getting your photos on the web. But where can they go today? What's a good source?
WordPress is a good place for you to just. I think every website should be on WordPress. I think that they offer a really, really good thing. There's other websites out there that do really good things like Squarespace and
Squarespace has nice
Squarespace
templates.
has got some great
Smugmug.
stuff.
I'm
Smugmug has got
on
some great
Smugmug.
stuff. I happen to be a big WordPress fan, so I tell people all the time, build on WordPress. If you were to take a look at my blog, all of that stuff that you have here is built on WordPress.
He's got to reconnect.
Now, is that a template?
Now what I usually tell people from here is this is the template that I'm using for this. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and just make sure that this is on. Of course, that's not on. I'll go ahead and I'll do that real quick. So now, let's see. So the other place that I think that you should go is to ThemeForest. ThemeForest.com is a great place for you not to be connected to the internet. So we'll go ahead and...
That's good.
Yeah, wonderful.
I can do it here. I'll go to
go to ThemeForest.com. Try that.
ThemeForest.com.
All right.
Oh, that's not it. That's
It's
a squatting
F-O-R.
site. Oh, 1R?
Yeah.
So you're supposed to spell it right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so here's ThemeForest.
Right. These guys, so if you go over here to this one section called WordPress, and then in there, let's just say go to creative or something like that, you can use these as a start. You can start working with this. And I've done a couple of Kelby training classes where I talk about how to be able to use these websites as starting websites that you can then reskin and reconnect and redo things like that. So if you take a look at my blog here, and this should be right back online. You'll notice that all of this stuff that we have here is all built on WordPress. If you go over here to the blog and you click on the blog section, it's all one blog.
Yeah, it
right?
goes to
so there's all of the stuff that's there, and that back end is all managed on a WordPress thing. And all this is a template that you get over at ThemeForest. So they're a good place for you to take a look. Another place that I recommend quite a bit, and I have these all on my website, is another place called Elegant Themes. Elegant Themes is a great place where you can get some stuff, and I think this is like $39 for like 25, 26, 27 themes that work with a whole bunch of different things. So it's a good place for you to get that stuff.
themes?
Fireleaf also designs themes.
We know the guy, Alan. He's
so it all
awesome.
depends. If you want to implement it on your own, you can go ahead and you can actually do that. And if you want to have somebody implement it for you, there's companies out there that do that.
And you can go to 500px. They'll host your photos. They do a beautiful job. There's a lot. Today, there's no reason not to be able to have one. But I think the key is it's got to be very, very clean.
I'll tell you one other key. I know that the back end has to be so simple so that it's not going to be a royal pain in the ass to keep it updated.
Right.
Because if it's not, I can tell you, as someone who had a very difficult time before I had my web designer do mine, my back end is so simple right now.
Yeah, it's easy to upload.
Yes. It's
So on
very
SmugMug,
important.
mine's a no-brainer too.
Yep. Back end
I choose the category and I say it says pick the one you want to delete.
Yep.
Pick the one you want to upload.
That's it.
Refresh and it's done. So you definitely want to do that.
Yep.
All right, so that's one. If you're going to also do not watermark your photos. Just freaking don't do it. Number one. So if you put your watermark where most people put it in the bottom left or right hand corner, it doesn't stop people from stealing your image. You can just crop it away. Number two, there's a thing called the healing brush that'll do it. I mean, there's all kinds of things that'll remove it. But number three is it spoils the presentation. When you have that on there, it really does. Because Jay Maisel said it. If there's type in your photo, that's what your eye goes to. It's the very first thing. We can't help it. It's a subconscious thing. If you have type on your photo, you read it. Your watermark is type. I'm going to read your watermark before I look at your image. It's the very first thing that I see. So I would recommend don't watermark it. Keep it clean. Keep it simple. Simple navigation, right? Very, very simple. And somebody asked about this earlier. Use large size photos. Look at the impact RC site has because of the large size photos. The bigger the photo, the more the impact.
Let's talk about the large. What would you consider large pixels? What would you consider large?
The images that I'm putting on my
900 or
the
more?
images that I'm putting on my
900?
website are no,
1200?
actually these are 1500 pixels.
15, wow.
Okay.
Most of the people that are looking at the stuff that I'm looking at are probably going to be about 27-inch monitors.
His has
24,
impact there,
26,
doesn't it?
27,
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
27-inch
Absolutely.
monitors. Now, on the watermarking side of things, usually what I tell people is if you're not going to watermark, you should use a company like Digimark. If you go to digimark.com, they have a service where you can actually put what's called a chroma watermark on top of your images. That's something that people have a harder time. They don't see it, it's invisible. You can prove ownership of that as well as track with them. They have a service where you can actually go out and actually track it. And I've actually had to use this, unfortunately, within the last week on proving something. Last point I want to make, and it sounds like a shameless plug, Kelby Training has this interview that they just did with Ed Greenberg talking about that.
Oh, yeah.
About the entire concept of watermarking and copyrighting. Guys, register yourself. Go to kelbytraining.com, register your stuff with the Copyright Office. I cannot tell you how important it is to do so. I am having to do that right now as we speak on something.
Yeah, and people
it's
think
so easy for me.
People have heard photographers believe all this stuff. The moment you take the picture, it's yours. It's copyrighted. All this baloney. Ed will tell you if you ever have to go to court, the keys to the courthouse, it's locked unless you can say, I registered these with the Copyright Office.
Absolutely.
He said, you're going to have virtually no case. You have to register yours, not putting a copyright symbol, not putting a watermark, not saying it's yours, not proving it was yours. None of that matters.
Yep.
You gotta go. Go watch. Ed's classes are fantastic because you know why? He's a no BS guy. Hey, we are virtually out of time, but I have 3 more left. I'm just gonna read them. Here we go. Number 7. It's okay to shoot things for your portfolio. It's okay to plan shoots for the type of work that you want to do. If you want to get food photography, you don't say, well, I don't have any clients, I can't get any. Go set up your own food shoots. Go ahead and light your own food, create some great images until you do. But here's what I would recommend don't do. I see full page ads in magazines for portfolio building shoots that you pay a fee for. It'll say, come and shoot these models. We have all the lighting done. We have amazing models and amazing locations. Shootouts. You come, and it'll say, build your portfolio. Here's the problem. You are there, and you are taking the picture.
Give a man a fish.
And he'll fish for 2 weeks. No.
Give him a it's,
No. It's the exact same.
Awful.
Here's what happens. You go to that and you shoot these great models and this great lighting and great everything, and all you have to do is walk up and go click, right? It's all set up for you. Then you get a job. You can't reproduce that. You don't have access to those models. You don't know how to do that lighting. Somebody told you what the camera settings are. It's just a lie.
I tweeted this the other day, Scott. Making great pictures at a workshop is meaningless. Making great pictures, having the ability or finding the ability when you leave.
That's what you do.
That's what a workshop's for.
That's exactly it. And I have shots that aren't in my portfolio and I even talked about this on the grid once where I brought up a shot that I took at the Joe McNally workshop. I said, never shown this to anybody. It's a fantastic shot. Everybody's like, oh, I love this. But Joe arranged the model. Joe set up the lighting.
It's easy to
Joe
shoot over
got us down to the beach. Joe
a workshop instructor's shoulder.
Yep, and Joe even said, here's the settings I'm using. And everybody would get in line and take the picture. And I see that picture in people's portfolios. And I'm like,
if you can't reproduce that work,
you can't reproduce that work, you shouldn't do it. So don't fall for that stuff. So that's one. Also, we talked about getting your portfolio reviewed by somebody you trust, but where can you go to get your portfolio reviewed? Well, I can tell you one thing. We have the Photoshop World Conference and Expo coming up in Orlando. I am plugging our own thing, but that's not the reason. We actually do portfolio reviews. Imagine having Joe McNally sit in front of you and look at your portrait work. You know what we charge for those at the conference? Zero. Absolutely zero. Moose Peterson, look at your aviation photos or look at your wildlife photos. We have some of the very, very best instructors that volunteer their time to give one-on-one private interviews. And we've had people come out and go, that was worth the whole trip, the airfare, the hotel, the whole 9 yards. So go to photoshopworld.com. When you register, once you're registered, you can sign up for a portfolio review and be one-on-one, and you can request, I want this person, that person, if they're available, you'll get to get in front of them. And we've done portfolio reviews. We've done at the Google Plus conference. And so you can also, there's people online that you can pay, pros that you can pay to do online portfolio reviews. And also there's people like Zach Arias who'll do the public reviews on their site. We do we do blind reviews here on the grid. There's a lot of places you can go if you're really interested in getting someone else to give you a non-biased view.
Critique.
And critique. And the idea, when you get the right person to do it, is they show you how to make your work better.
Constructive criticism.
It's constructive. They show you what you need to do to take your work to the next level, not what's wrong with your work. So it's a whole different when it's a real review. So there's plenty of places to get them in person and on board. Now, we talked about this briefly, but the 10th one was to keep making sure your portfolio gets better. You have to constantly update your portfolio. So RC, you know how you're constantly updating your portfolio? There's always new work up there. It's always fresh. Don't be one of those guys that waits 3 years.
It's cold over on that side.
We're just messing with you, dude. Hey, if I had a portfolio that looked like this 3 years ago, I would never have dated either.
But that's a good point.
It hasn't been 3 years.
You said 3 years.
No.
But here's the thing. Don't also at the same time fall under the guys that you need to update and you do this. a lot, and I think it's a great thing for that. You'll go out and you'll shoot, and I'll turn around. Oh, did you see anything? No.
I get a lot
If
of
you don't have
no's.
anything to say, don't say anything.
Yeah.
If you don't have anything good to produce, don't produce anything. Don't feel compelled that the moment that you did this, you need to do this. Don't worry.
Well, here's
about
another good tip. As you're shooting your assignments, and I don't do this enough, go through to see if there's anything that belongs in your portfolio and not just glancing on it and then moving on to the next assignment.
Hey, I can tell you something here real quickly.
I should take my own advice.
Just by looking at my football portfolio. So I shot, and I'm not joking, I shot 16 games this year. So I'm going to say I shot 20,000 plus photos. How many new photos did I add to my portfolio this year based on shooting 20,000 photos?
How many's in your portfolio?
Well, there's too many. There's 24.
Okay.
So let's see. I added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And how long have you been shooting?
Football?
Yeah.
Probably 2.5, 3 years, maybe. But I out of 20,000 photos that I took, I added what, 6?
6.
So which means I had to find ones that were the weakest ones and replace them with newer ones.
Now, if you take a look at your portfolio right now, looking at all of those images in front of you,
Yeah.
do you see one you could pull? You don't have to say what it is.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you see one you can pull?
I see a number I could pull.
But see, and that's the thing, and you
one.
can't, and that's what happens. That's the goal. You don't have to show them. No, I wouldn't pull that one.
Yeah, but see, that's, you know.
That's okay. That's good. I wouldn't pull that one.
All right.
That one,
I
on the
would
other
pull
hand.
that one.
This is real strong. I like that picture.
Thank you.
Oh, here,
like
you need this.
That's nice.
Yeah,
Thanks.
see, that I'd keep.
It's cool.
I'm open with that.
It's
That
different.
one-
It's
That one I'd
it's
keep.
not it's not a running
But
back.
no, this one's going away because I actually got a better one than this one. I got a newer one and a better one that is in the slideshow you saw earlier.
I hope the chat isn't
but-
going
and
through
now, this
keep
one-
kill, all those pictures.
All right. So this one, I don't like this photo at all. I don't know. I think I don't like the flag looks kind of homemade to me. I don't know why I don't like it. I like Urlacher, of course. I'm a Bears fan. I like everything else. I just don't like this picture. Every time I show it, people are like, I love that shot. I have that in there because everybody else likes it. I don't like it.
Pull it.
I think that would be one of the ones I would probably pull. But I like Urlacher. I'm a Bears fan.
It's turning into
So,
an intervention.
and this one, here's another one. The Jets, it's like Mark Sanchez. I don't like the Jets. Okay, we got to go. Juan says we have to go. All right, there's one last thing we need to do, is that, so once you've done all these things, you've narrowed things down, you've gotten unbiased advice, you have a web book, you have all this, how are you going to get work now? You've done all the things right. Let's say that you do. Let's just say that you took our advice. Not like our advice is like written in stone or anything, but let's say that you took our advice and you have everything done. Now what? Here's what I would recommend that you do. Go back 2 episodes ago or 3 episodes ago when Dixie Dixon was our guest here on The Grid. She is a fashion photographer. She's like 27 years old. She's out of Dallas, Texas, and she has taken the fashion world by storm. And when she was on here, she sat where Cliff is, and here's what she said. Number 1, have a personal portfolio. Number 2, no, she didn't. I'm just kidding. No, what she gave just business advice. Her business advice was absolutely amazing on how to build your business, how to open doors and stuff. I mean, and it was really, really great. Once you've got all that stuff together, go back 2 episodes ago where Dixie Dixon was the host. Watch that. You will have a head full of ideas on ways, once you've got your book together, on how to build your business. And she did. It's a lot of hard work. You know what Cliff was saying about how hard he works to get weddings? Like, she works that hard to get fashion gigs. I mean, it's like, look how good she is. Look how good Cliff is. They're still having to bust their butts because it's the reality of the industry now.
Absolutely.
And so, he's one of the best 10 wedding photographers in the world. I think it kind of comes to him a little easier than maybe the rest of us. Wink. Because you know what? If you can say to people, this magazine named me as one of the best wedding photographers, how much more do you have to really prove to the bride?
Serious
All right.
breaker.
Hey, real quickly, we got to go. Contests. Pete, what do we do to enter the contests? Dang it. Pete doesn't know. You go right here, go to kelbytv.com/contests. contest.
There's a question from me down here. By the way,
Is Cliff a
Steve
Flyers fan?
Steaks. Steve Steaks, by the way.
Steve Steaks.
Oh, I know,
Geno's
Bob's
or
a good
Pat's.
guy.
Not
Bob's a
Geno's
good
or
guy.
Pat's. Steve's.
Wow.
He's asking, is Cliff a Flyers fan and Geno's or Pat's
Sixers
for
fan.
steak and cheese? So Pat's?
Sixers and Steve's.
Steve's. And I'm a Sixer fan.
Steve's.
Flyers, I'm a season ticket holder of the Phillies.
Yeah, he's a serious sports fan. All right. Hey, go to kelbytv.com/contest. Mention up at the top that the show is The Grid, and then put your name and all that kind of stuff. And tell us if you want to win the seminar, you want to win RC's book, or the paper. Just put it in there. Just write paper, RC's book, whatever. And any other comments. Would love to hear your comments about having these shorter breaks and getting to the meat quicker. And don't ever mention a sponsor, because there would be no show without them. Speaking of sponsors, don't forget, there's a Photoshop World contest. There is actually a photo contest for Photoshop World over at viewbug.com. Go over there, and Matt and I will be choosing the winners on March 6th on the live right here on the grid. And the contest details are right over there. So that's the site there. Go to viewbug.com/contests/photoshop.html. Cliff, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thanks,
You
man.
were awesome.
Thanks for having me.
RC, for moments, you were great. Pete, Brad, thank you guys for helping us out here. Thanks to everybody that sent in questions. And we will see you guys here live next week. Could be Blind Critique Week, I think, middle of the month. Could be. We'll be crushing people's dreams next week right here on The Grid. Take care, everybody. It's one of the best.
This week's episode of The Grid is sponsored by MPix. Shoot today, upload tonight, we ship tomorrow. Manfrotto. Imagine more. All One Software. Focused on photography. Peach Pit Press. Publishers of technology books, ebooks, and videos for creative people. Epson. Exceed your vision. Expo Imaging. Rogue Flash Benders for speedlight enthusiasts. Nix Software. Photography first. And B&H Photo, the professional source.